Okay.
Let her rip.
All right.
Oh, you already have it on?
Yes. Oh, we haven't started yet. I can just chop it off.
Oh, good.
Right.
I hope you chop it off.
Good morning, YouTube. I'm Dave. The channel is Harleys, Diners, Rides. And we're here. We've just arrived in Nashville. And we're with the lovely Miss Lorelei. It's all about country tour. And we're going to talk about what we did prior to arriving in Nashville. It's day 13 of our tour. Anyway, good morning, the lovely Miss Lorelei.
Good morning. Well, all I can say is, wow, where has the time gone? So we just stayed at the KOA in Hurricane Mills, Tennessee. Population 430 people, which we found out through our tour there of Loretta Lynn's ranch that her and Mooney have owned the majority of Hurricane Hills since 1960. So I do need to say this KOA was excellent. It had a pool, it had cable, very clean, lovely people, very friendly. And so I just want to give a shout out to that. But what was really interesting is, you know, originally the way we had planned it, we thought we might actually miss Loretta Lynn because she was closed on Monday and Tuesdays every week. But in fact, we just waited it out and went Wednesday morning. So
yeah, I was just going to say, the people at the KOA were great. They gave us, checkout time was 11 o'clock. They gave us an extended checkout. So we didn't really check out until, you know, yeah, just after 1 o'clock.
So, so what we did is we had a tour. We had a tour of Loretta Lynn's ranch, the museum, the house, the original grist mill, and a replica of her butcher holler home. So the museum carried all of her awards, all of her outfits, and of course from her very slim beginnings, right, where she made and sewed her own clothes, to where she was influenced by Patsy Cline and then started wearing all of the long ball gowns. And also inside the museum was a replica of her original schoolhouse and actual items from it, though. So the seats and everything she took out and brought back into, so the replica had from an original inset. The furniture also in that museum was from her first home in Nashville, right? So what was really interesting to me was that I've never seen a TV like that. The small TV.
Yeah.
I'm going to have to look that one up.
It'll be in one of the pictures that is in this video. Yeah.
I've never seen a TV like that, so that was really amazing. So what I didn't realize is, you know, I mean, I think we've all watched the Coal Miners movie, or many people have, and so we know how, you know, she began. But Conway Twitty was like a huge influence and a big part of her career. So out of respect for him, she also had a whole section of Conway Twitty from the beginning, and part of her museum. So I thought that was really nice and really interesting. So we also got to review her tour bus. So she had an outside tour bus, and she had one inside the museum, her first tour bus, and it was a lot of beige and a lot of pink in her section. But what was interesting there is there was a coffee maker built into the wall, right, which was really interesting. Very small fridge, not much of a kitchen area, more coffee and drinks and snacks. But then also, if she needed it, or when she brought her band, on both sides there was like 6 very tiny little bunks, right? So 3 on one side, 3 on the other, and in the back, which was her area, you know, it was all pink, right? And she did a lot of embroidering, so there was a lot of crocheting and embroidering that she did, and it was all her original pink things, you know, from her makeup table and everything. So I thought that was really interesting. Also in this section were Mooney's favorite Jeep, cars, and his favorite cars or gifts that he gave to Loretta. So he bought her a 1974 Jaguar E-Type V12. So it's in pristine condition, but apparently she only drove it once, and that was an anniversary gift in 1974. So then her house also had a really interesting story. I thought we got a tour guide. So it was left vacant. So the original family, I believe, is the Anderson family.
Yeah.
And
they owned the plantation.
They owned a plantation. It was a slave plantation, we found out later. But it just had like a small general store, the grist mill,
Post office.
and a small post office. And the Anderson family, I guess, died off, and so it was left vacant for 30 years, although they also owned Hurricane Mills, which, again, population today is 430 people. So long story short, what she ended up doing, her and Mooney, is they got lost one night and they found this house and they tried to buy it and stayed on the property for 2 days.
Yep.
Camped out till they could find somebody to talk to because it had been deserted for 30 years. And the police came and sold everything to them for 100, how many acres was it? Like significant acres.
Yeah.
Practically the whole town, and this beautiful house for $100,000. So what we learned also is she was a big collector of Avon and salt and pepper shakers. So there was a whole wall, you know, with that. She had a fully pink bedroom, we saw a formal living room, a really nice family sitting room, and she even had guns in there from John Wayne. She had a huge sewing room where she also did ironing, and a very large kitchen. And when Mooney built onto the kitchen to give her more space, the kids all took branding irons and they branded it right in the wall. So today they've turned that house fully into a museum, but in the back, you know, very much she built another home. So that's where she lived out the remaining of her days, you know, up to the last 2 years when she passed away. The dining room had a really beautiful chandelier, right? That Mooney had bought. It still had its original tin ceilings. It had a beautiful wraparound porch, and it's still a working farm today. So, you know, and what was interesting is, similar to Elvis and his fascination with peacocks, they had 16 peacocks in one
live.
of the barns live because they have same feelings regarding the peacocks. So we got to see them, and I thought that was really interesting. And then across the way, what she did is she built a replica of her Butcher Holler home, right? And what we learned is this is where the movie was also filmed. So Sissy Spacek, and who was the
Tommy Lee Jones.
Tommy Lee Jones. And this is where it was filmed. And it is absolutely exactly as it was. And we got to see that as well and go all through that. And what we learned is they were a very musical family. Loretta slept in the same room as her parents in a single bed, but then there was a second floor which her grandfather built, and so the six kids would go to bed upstairs. She'd put them to bed because she was the oldest girl, and then she would come down and sleep in her parents' room, where her parents were, with the double bed. What was also interesting is Sears and Roebuck, and I even remember this from growing up with my mom, that Sears and Roebuck catalogs, they would put plaster on it, and that would be their whole ceiling. So that was all true to design as well. Of course, there is no Sears now. And all the clothes and memorabilia for the movie are also in the museum. So everything anybody wore, anything regarding that movie, she also preserved in the museum.
Mm-hmm.
So she also had a lot of friendships, which and were part of her career. So I mean, she had an absolute love of Patsy Cline, and met her, and she also wrote a book about that. She had a long relationship and friendship with Willie Nelson, you know, Dolly, and many others. So gifts or tokens or memorabilia from each of these relationships were also in the museum. So this also brought memories a little bit for me. My mom had a really, real love of country music, and especially Loretta Lynn, right? So mom's family also were very musical. So my dad played the guitar, the banjo, acoustic and electric guitar. My sister Lucy plays the guitar. Tissy's picked up the guitar. Everyone sang all the time, and that I think stemmed also from my mom, because my mom and her sisters also did lots of singing. So it resonated with me, I would say, in terms of how they grew up, and I could see a lot of that in Loretta Lynn. So Lindsay and I took Mom to see Dolly Parton, the Backwards Barbie tour that she did. Dave and I took Mom and Dad to see George Jones, and I remember how Mom loved that as well. But then most importantly, we took her to see Loretta Lynn. I'm gonna have a tear here. We took her to see Loretta Lynn, and I just remember how much she loved Loretta Lynn, and you know, we bought her the whole music set. We bought her Loretta Lynn's cookbook, right? All autographed and signed. So we still have that memorabilia. But it was a really good memory of all those things and all those years. And so anyways, Mom sure did love her country music. So anyway.